Hi. Today I'd like to talk with you about confident generosity. When we talk about being generous, we often think about just giving the excess of what we have. And we don't think about being generous so much if we ourselves have just a little bit more than what we actually need. But when we talk about generosity as Jesus talks about it, he doesn't talk to only the rich about being generous. He talks to all of his people. And so I want us to think about how we can be confident and generous at the same time. Generosity should not be something that causes us doubt. It should not be something that makes us wonder, will we have enough? We should trust in the Lord. And I want us to just look at first at in Mark chapter 4, verse 18 and through 20. Jesus here is talking about the parable of the sower. And he's talking about the sower casting seed on the different kinds of ground. And here he's giving the explanation. And he says here in verse 18, "Now these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches, and the desires for other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But these are the ones sown on good ground, those who hear the word, accept it, and bear fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Did you notice how he talks about the deceitfulness of riches and the desire for other things? The deceitfulness of riches is not only there for those that are rich, it is there for everyone. It's a deceitful thing where we think we need more than what we really need. The Lord provides what we need, but we often are unwilling to part with what we have out of fear that we won't have what we need. When you think about what we have, however much we have to understand that we have blessings entrusted to us by God, and that we are considered stewards of those things. We are to be faithful in how we deal with what he has entrusted to us. And yes, that means taking care of our families, but it also means taking care of those around us. In Luke chapter 16 and verse 10 through 14, it says, "He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Now the Pharisees, who were lovers of money, also heard all these things, and they derided him. It's so easy to be the Pharisees, to be lovers of money and think, well, that can't work. What you're saying is nonsense. You have to do what you have to do in order to have what you want in life. We have to make compromises sometimes in order to survive, people will say. Although most of the time they're not even talking about survival. They're just talking about having what they want, not being a little bit hungry, or having the nicer clothes that they would like. But that's not what life is about. Life isn't about the fancy clothes. It's not about never being hungry. But life is about serving the Lord and rejoicing in that, whatever our situation is. In 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verses 17 through 19, it says, "Command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty, nor to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who gives us richly all things to enjoy. Let them do good, that they may be rich in good works, ready to give, willing to share, storing up for themselves a good foundation for the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life." Now here he does talk to the rich. But I think one of the things that people miss is that they are rich. We need to understand that we have more than what we actually need to live. We are rich. We don't need to trust in those riches. That is not what life is about. Then those riches can go at any point. You may have somebody come and burn your shop down. You may have somebody come to your home and take all your things. You may have just an unexpected health problem that wipes out your bank account. There's no telling what can happen to our finances, to our riches. They're uncertain. But what is certain is God. God is always certain. We can trust in Him. And while we have what we have, let's do what He tells us to do with it and be rich in good works and share, be generous with confidence. We're not going to fail to do what we're supposed to do in life by being generous. That is what we're supposed to do in life. That's a huge part of why He gave us what He gave us. In Luke chapter 6, verse 20 through 38, He says here in this Sermon on the Mount, this is a long passage, but there's so much in it that I think can apply to this situation. Then He lifted up His eyes toward His disciples and said, "Blessed are you poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you shall be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they exclude you, and revile you, and cast out your name as evil, for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy, for indeed your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner their fathers did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full, for you shall hunger. Woe to you who laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes you on the one cheek, offer the other also, and from him who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who asks of you, and from him who takes away your goods, do not ask them back. And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But love your enemies. Do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For He is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. Do you ever doubt that if you give generously, you might not have enough yourself? Maybe we can't afford to be generous. Now, obviously, there's limits to what we have. We have to use wisdom, but we also need to have mercy, even towards our enemies, to those that hate us. If they're in need, we need to help them. It's so easy to just be angry at what people have done and say, well, they deserve it. They deserve to go hungry. They do deserve to go hungry sometimes. But God provides for us, and we deserve to go hungry too. So we need to be willing to share. We need to be willing to give the things that God has given to us to help others. That's what He has taught us to do. And He says, if you will do it, you will receive with the same measure that you give. Yes, you may go hungry a bit right now, and that's okay. Blessed are those who hunger, for they shall be filled. But we need to be willing to give and to share. And that's something that we can have confidence in, that we're not going to run out. We're not going to starve to death. Never heard of anybody starving to death because of their generosity. When all of this started happening here in South Africa, in our area, we thought things were a lot worse than they are here in Eshowe. We thought the whole town basically was destroyed, that there would be no food left, as we've heard is almost the case in some other places. It's much worse in some other places. And we thankfully had enough, because my wife thinks ahead, and she had just stocked up on some things. And that was, we didn't know this was happening, but that was a blessing from God that we had it. So we rationed what we had. But it wasn't only for us. That's not all that we had in mind. Well, at least my wife, what did she do? She said, we need to save food so that not only will we have enough in the future if there's not any more to buy, but what about our brethren? What about others that don't have anything, who are in a much worse situation than we are? If they're asking us for food, we need to be able to give to them as well. And so we cut back on what we ate. We didn't starve, not at all. And quite frankly, there weren't very many who were in need of food that we found out about. We didn't share a whole lot. We shared a little bit, but we were able to share if anybody needed it. And we still are. But thankfully, things are not so bad in our area. There is food here. We need to have the confidence to share. We need to have the confidence that if we just do what the Lord teaches us to do, we will still have enough. Our family is not going to suffer because of it. They might go hungry a little bit from time to time, and that's okay. It's actually good for our children. It is good for us to go through these things and see, this is the way the Lord taught us to live. I'm not very good at that. I'm not good at that attitude. This lesson is for me as much as anybody else. I'm thankful to have a wife who knows these things, who understands and can think that way. But we need to really focus on trusting in the Lord and knowing that we can give generously with confidence. Thank you.